Welcome to the show. I am MMA insider and Herb Dean's dog sitter, Joey Venti, and you're listening to the MMA History Podcast, the only podcast dedicated 100% to the preservation of mixed martial arts history. Interviews and stories about the early days of MMA direct from the men who lived it. Hundreds of interviews, thousands of hours of research, all conducted by the most obsessed mind in the business, the MMA detective Mike Davis. Join us as we document the history of the sport we all love. Fellow historians, Happy New Year's and welcome back to the MMA History Podcast. I'm Joey Venti. I'm here with the MMA detective Mike Davis. Our guest today was the Ultimate Fighter Season 3 runner-up, a veteran of 29 fights inside the UFC Octagon, a middleweight contender, and a 6-time Performance of the Night winner, Ed Short Fuse Herman. Thank you for being here.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. So, Ed, we're starting the year off with you. Let's get in with the plugs. We know you lost your social media. You're trying to rebound on that, as well as like your gym and plugs and things of that nature.
I just lost my Facebook, basically, that I had forever. I still have an Instagram, same one I've had for a while, Ed Herman UFC. So you guys can follow me on there. And then my gym, Short Fuse Martial Arts, or on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm trying to build that, especially for the gym and keep the name alive.
And you have a woman helping organize like your social media?
I do have an assistant that helps me with some of that, yeah.
She's phenomenal.
Okay, great.
She's phenomenal. Dude, we deal with like a lot of different like moving parts with people. Fantastic, dude. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
Okay.
really good. All right. So your beginnings at Team Quest. Do you come in at the end of Raw, like the Rico Chiapparelli days, or are you Team Quest as it is current day? Not current day, but at the height of its popularity.
So I don't remember anything with Raw. I think they were done with Raw by the time I got there. Robert Falleth was coaching. Robert Falleth was the head coach when I got there.
Okay.
There were still a lot of Raw t-shirts and stuff around, but there wasn't any talk of Raw. I don't really remember much of it. The same crew of guys were there mainly, though, I feel like.
Was Matt Yushchenko still there?
Who?
Vladimir Matt Yushchenko?
I think I remember meeting him early when I first came around, but I don't remember much of him.
Okay.
Being there training. Gosh, there were still a lot of guys there. Like Henderson was still there, quite a bit. I think he was just starting Team Quest in California, or maybe just living in California. I'm not sure, but he was the big fights he had originally. He would be training with us in Oregon.
Okay, so you wrestled only your junior and senior year of high school. Is that correct?
Wrestled a little bit as a kid. 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, maybe. Just, small kid seasons. They're usually 3 months or something. And then I wrestled sophomore, junior year in high school, and that was it.
So your dad wrestled under Dan Gable.
Yeah, he wrestled. My dad he All-American at Northern Iowa, and then he got a scholarship to the University of Iowa. And Dan Gable was the assistant coach. I think it was 1972. My dad, he didn't end up competing in the NCAAs or anything. He had some injuries that held him back, but he was training with Dan Gable and part of the Hawkeye Club for many years.
Okay. Did he not push wrestling on you?
He did, yeah. My dad didn't go out for wrestling until he was a junior in high school, and he won state his senior year. And then he went to Nyack for a year, and then which is Northern Iowa Community College, I think, in Mason City, and then he went to Northern Iowa for 2, and then University of Iowa for 1 senior year. But he got me going wrestling when I was a kid. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. I was doing like whatever local tournaments there were. I had a good blast double.
Joey, there's one other person from Oregon that started wrestling their junior year of high school, 1 state senior year, wound up on the Olympic team, and that's Mark Schultz.
Well, that's right. He was a gymnast that transferred.
There was only 2 people.
Really?
Yeah.
And by the way, his dad wrestled for Gable in 72. That's the year he won gold. That's the year he won the Olympics.
Maybe it was 71 then. I can't. Maybe I had the year wrong.
Hey, dude, here, let me a little minor correction. Schultz was a California guy, went to Oregon afterward. So it's just kind of a similar story. Yeah, that's wild. All right, early Team Quest days. Were you there when Phil Baroni showed up at the gym?
I was there, but I don't remember a lot of it. I remember him sleeping on the couch, like in the sparring room. We had this old crusty ass couch, and he was sleeping on it one day when I came in. I remember, but I don't know what was going on. Maybe I had an injury or something, but I never trained with Baroni when he was there. But I remember his voice in the background. You know what I mean? And forgettable, personality, right?
Yeah. You didn't see the Tanner Baroni sparring session?
I don't remember, man. That was so freaking long ago, honestly. I don't remember if I don't think so. I think for some reason I missed that.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate because I heard about it. Or I had a rough night the night before. And I don't remember the day.
Okay. Okay. So Chael Sonnen described you as a harder worker than you were as an athlete. Would you agree with that?
Like my hard work got me.
Your athletic ability, your hard work.
Athleticism.
Yeah, your actual athletic ability, your hard work.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? I'm not the most athletic. There's some athleticism in there for sure, but the hard work and like the drive, I think is what got me there. I could have worked harder, I feel like, and done things even better and had more success. You never know, right? But when you're young, sometimes you take advantage of things, I guess. But I'm glad to hear that because I feel like I could have done more.
Hey, when was the last time you looked at your pre-UFC record?
I don't know. It's been a minute. But there's a lot of guys on there I beat who were either already in the UFC or eventually made it to the UFC. Or just about every guy on that list.
Oh, dude, it's insane. So was Jeremy Lappin your manager or
no?
Who got your fights?
Early on, Matt Lindland and Randy and Robert were in charge of my career. Matt Lindland kind of, I think, took the lead on a lot of that stuff. But eventually I signed with Robert Robetta, who manages Dustin Poirier. He may be the only guy Robert still managed, or maybe he managed him with somebody else together. I'm not sure, but he managed me and Chris and a bunch of guys early on during the sport fight days. Helped out a ton with a lot of stuff to help get us into the UFC. Really, Robert Rivetta helped make a lot of that happen. With me and Chris Lieben and some of the guys at Team Quest, he promoted the shit out of us.
So Chael Sonnen, when we had talked to him, he had mentioned that his fights to get to the UFC were some of the most difficult because Randy, Matt, Dan Henderson, they weren't really helping him get the fights that he needed. He would have to go and get them himself.
Chris said that?
Chael Sonnen said that.
Yeah, back then it was difficult to find fights, especially coming out of Team Quest, I think, with guys like Randy and Evan and Matt and just all the names that came through there. It was a little bit Wild West, you know what I mean? If you found your own stuff, that was great, but we usually had someone looking for us too.
Okay. So October 5th, 2002, Full Contact Fight Federation, Noel Tworek is your first opponent. How long had you been training prior to this?
3 months. Yeah. 3 months of training. Well, I came in as a white belt, right, and was beating up, purple belts and brown belts, like right away. Randy was like, hey, you should start coming to the fight team practice. Basically to me and Chris, because we were torturing everybody in all the regular classes.
You and Chris Lieben.
Yep, right. Okay. So Chris started like a few months before me. We just happened to both wander in there from a different part of town with nothing going on in our lives. Really had, you know what I mean? We didn't have a lot of options at that point. But Randy said, hey, if you guys can make it to team practice 3 days a week, you're on the team. So we showed up and got our asses kicked every day. That's kind of how it started.
So who recommended, like you're working, my notes say you're at Par Lumber. And then from Par Lumber, somebody has a conversation with you about going to Team Quest to fight.
Well, no, backing up a little bit. I had a friend named Jason, and he was like, "Hey, we all talked about training." So he had went down and signed up at Straight Blast Portland. So I went down to Straight Blast Portland, started training there for about, I think I trained there for 3 months.
With Nate Quarry.
Yeah. Nate wasn't there yet. Robert Fallis, Nate, all those guys were there originally at that same one, but they had left already and were at Team Quest. I didn't know any of this. Okay. I didn't even go there looking for anybody. I just wanted to do jiu-jitsu, stay out of trouble.
Joey, this was the drama that Nate Quarry had talked about prior. Okay. So
still carrying a grudge, I think.
You still can a little bit. So
which I find out later, Matt Thornton runs it. He was fine to me. He let me train for free because I tortured all his guys. Some random kid wandered in off the street. He was like 21. So he was thinking he wanted me to fight for him already after a couple of months. He had mentioned it because I was, obviously, aggressive or just showed what it had,
potential.
Yeah. But anyway, a friend of mine went and signed up at Team Quest. He's like, calls me. He's like, "Yeah, I signed up at Team Quest today." I'm like, "Whatever. You can't just sign up there." Because we knew about it. Matt Lindland, Randy, everybody was out of there. And he's like, "No, bro, I went down and signed up. I met Randy, Robert Fallis." And I'm like, "Yeah, right. You're full of shit. There's no fucking way." So I went down to the next day on the bus, rode the bus there because I didn't have a car. Met Robert and immediately started training there like that day. Never went back to Straight Blast again. Robert was that much of an influence on me immediately. He was a pretty powerful person. So,
all right. Ed, you come from a rough background. You said it, you didn't have a lot of options. You wound up in the gym because of that. So like you come from like a fist fight at a family party isn't uncommon in your life. Am I correct?
Yeah. The family was kind of effed up at that point though. Like,
okay.
My dad, after college, my dad moved out here from Iowa with my mom and some other family members. There was work out here, construction, basically. You come out here and make some money. So 1980, my family all came from Iowa out to Washington. My parents divorced, maybe like second, third grade or something. After that, it was kind of a shit show for me. I started getting in trouble and fighting in school all the time. It was pretty much told I'd never be good at anything but fighting for a long time. But I was an angry kid. I was a bad student. I'm not sure why. I was the way I was, but I just was not a happy kid for some reason. And I was scrawny and freckle faced. I was a skinny little guy. Kind of looked like the kid off Mad Magazine. So people fucked with me and picked on me all the time. But I had a double leg, so I could beat up everybody. Like even the fifth graders in third grade, I would just double leg them through
blast double,
dude. They're fucking so I remember like in elementary school, like third grade, people labeled me like Ed's the toughest kid in school, and fifth graders would challenge me every fucking day for that. Come at me from behind sometimes even. You know what I mean? So that was weird. That's how it was.
Okay.
My dad was a little bit of a psychopath and promoted it, I think.
Ain't nothing wrong with
that.
Not
a psychopath, but would like, oh yeah, that kid beats you. You should challenge him next week, kind of thing. And it was like kind of crazy looking back on it.
Well, here. So you got yourself, definitely an adverse background. You got Nate Quarry, crazy religious background. I mean, it's very fascinating. Chael Sonnen, very educated. You got an Olympian and Matt Lindland, Olympian and Randy Couture. Chris Lieben, I mean, to his own words, white trash upbringing, very tough guy. Everybody like in that group is very, very different with very different life experiences. But
Chael from West Lynn,
super educated.
Street of West.
But all of you guys looked at Robert Fallis as a leader, and Robert Fallis's athletic background, there's nothing that like jumps off the page, but all of you guys all agreed that he was a very powerful human being in regards to as being a mentor. How does that happen?
I don't know how it happens, because he was good at jiu-jitsu too, right? But he never wrestled. He wasn't an athlete. He looked like, a total dork with his big ears, and he was tall and skinny. Not the guy you're thinking of to lead a bunch of savages. Like he looked a little tougher towards the end, right? You got the cauliflower and stuff like that. When I met him, man, he just like, I'm like, who's this skinny guy? I would kick his ass in like a second, I thought. But it was a lot more than that, you know, the way he approached, I don't know, just the way he challenged me mentally and believed in me too. You know, having somebody believe in you and kind of show you that they believe in what you can do, you know, it was pretty amazing through him and Randy and the team there was something I had never experienced before. So it was like the family that I was missing in a fucked up way. So man, it's a tough one with Robert. It's kind of emotional thinking about it because he challenged me. I remember he asked me my goals right from the beginning. He would challenge me like, "Okay, I want to see your goals." You know, and you're a young man. You're like, "That's stupid. I'm not writing my goals down." He's like, "I want you to put it on your refrigerator so you see it every morning." I'm 21. I'm like, "That's fucking gay. I'm not doing it."
Proper response. Proper response. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, but he challenged me, you know, to do that. And I put my goals down. He called me on, okay, this is your goal. You want to be in UFC. How long? I said, 3 years is my goal. And he kind of laughed and was like, I don't know, man, that's pretty quick. You know, you're coming off the streets, basically. Just after a few months of training and him realizing that I want to fight, maybe right before my first fight or right after, somewhere around this time. And I'm like, no, I want to be in the UFC. He's like, okay, I want you to draw a check. He made me draw a check and like a fake check from Dana White. He's like, how much is he going to pay you? How much are you going to make in your first UFC fight? I'm like, I don't know. I can't remember what I put on there. $10,000 or something probably. And he made me literally draw this. And I had that check for a long time. I wish I still had it. It would have been cool to have. But it was something that I was like, this is dumb, you know, at the time. But then it became something so much more.
Became real.
Yeah. So just little stuff like that, you know, just kind of staying on, keeping me, calling me if I didn't show up for practice, or just keeping me when I lost my temper in practice and punched the wall or the locker, I'd be mopping the mats for a month. You know, he tried to help me control my anger and just all the issues that I had outside of the gym too. He always said, you got to be successful outside of the gym to be, you know, outside of the cage to have success in the cage. That's kind of a common saying now, but like I feel like he was one of the first people to ever say that to me. And I still repeat that to my students, young fighters, you know. So help me pull together, man. I was, you know, in doing bad things and not taking care of myself like I should before I met him.
Yeah, it's good. So Noel Tworek, August 5th, 2002. What are your thoughts going into your first fight?
Man, nerve-wracking. So super nervous, right? Didn't know if I wanted to fight. Actually, to set that up real quick, Dennis Davis, a friend of mine, he's a coach at Extreme Couture. He fought before me, and I watched his fight in this like dog kennel, and we've been training together every day. So it pumped me up unbelievably. You know, this is after 2-3 months of training. So that's right after that I got my next fight. So I'm going in there thinking about, you know, Dennis's fight last weekend, all that stuff, and staring down the aisle at the cage. And I remember this Gwen Stefani song was playing. And I still, this Gwen Stefani song still pumps me up when I hear it. And people always wonder why. Because the ring girls were dancing to it. And I'm the next fight after the intermission of the ring girls dancing. It's like, you know, dan, 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 dan. You know, I'm in the background, like seeing this music. Always remember that fucking song and seeing it down the hallway. I don't even remember what my walkout song was. I feel like that was my walkout song. I might have came out to that song later just because of it. But yeah, I went out there and guy said I looked like a pit bull with a chain around my neck, pacing back and forth, you know, and I think he shot in and I smashed him in the nose. It was B class. You have open hand striking. No palm strikes either, but I kind of did a palm strike. Threw like an uppercut palm strike when he shot in and like, you know, made his nose bleed or broke it. Jumped on him, took his back, choked him out pretty quick first round. But that was how it all started, and I never looked back after that. Kind of just.
You're on mute, Mike.
You had a quick turnaround too. Like October 5th is your first fight. November 9th is your second fight. I mean, you may have had this one set up already before you even hit the ring the first time.
Possibly. I mean, I had a lot of fights. I fought like over 10 times in 1 year, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
so
you just said you wanted to get to the UFC within 3 years. You got to do that.
pretty much. So yeah, second fight was a couple weeks later.
Byron Yates.
Byron Yates. He was a mean looking kid, but he was tough as hell too. I remember taking him down and just ground and pounding the shit out of him, and him having big old lumps on all over his head, like, you know, a couple UFC fighters you've seen. Mark Hominick, you remember the lump he had on his head back in the day?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big old that guys weren't that bad. Tough kid. I think he passed away. So maybe I'll see him again someday.
Yeah, you got him with the Kimura. So you got 2 fights, 2 finishes, and less than a month and a half. Yeah, you came out the gate. You came out the gate real hard. Andrew Taylor also. Joey, if you look at Ed's like pre-UFC career, there's a reoccurring theme there. Like the matchmakers were not doing Ed any favors at all. Like they either were trying to get him killed or, Ed, they were trying to help Ed meet his goals. It was one of the two.
Well, it's Matt Lindland too. He was the matchmaker for half of those damn shows and my manager. So he was like him and Dan Henderson did not give a fuck, man. Like I fought in Japan and they didn't even tell me who I was fighting. I found out later I'm fighting like Kazu Misaki, like a fucking legend. They're like, he's fine, some Japanese guy, go kick his ass. It wasn't. We were not catered to like some of these athletes are now.
Let me kind of help set the table on this. So Andrew Taylor, it's February 28th, 2003. He's 1-0. He was 1-0 as a pro, but he's got amateur wins over Ed and Paul Purcell. Paul Purcell at Picnic, Paul Purcell
super tough.
Oh my God, dude. Like you can't really look at the number on his record to really quantify what kind of fighter he was. That guy, I've seen him fight live maybe 2 or 3 times. Always impressed me, even in a loss.
Dude, Andrew Taylor, so tough as hell, right? So he took my back and threw hooks in and flattened me out in that fight. I could not get away. I tore my hamstring trying to get out of his hooks. He just took my back the whole fight and just fucking iron cheeked me. It was brutal. So I was wondering what happened to him. I was like, where's this guy? I'm going to see him again. I want a rematch. But I thought maybe, he'll be in the UFC too. He's tough as hell. I never saw that guy again until about 2 years ago. I'm in Idaho at a water park, standing in line. He goes, hey, are you Ed Herman? I said, yeah. And he goes, I don't know if you remember me, Andrew Taylor. I go, motherfucker, I've been looking for you for 20 years. And it was super cool conversation. He was there with his kids, so was I. And he said he's had kids and had to get a job, basically. And that's a story for a lot of really good athletes back in the day.
Joey, he was 1-0 as a pro. And his 2 amateur wins are like standout, put an asterisk by them. Right. I've got a list of people of like what if fighters that we've kind of, when we go through careers, Andrew Taylor's somebody that really could have went far as a pro.
Yeah, he was a good dude too, talking to him later, really. So it's cool to see him so many years later.
There was no money to be made back then, man. If you have kids, you got to support them.
I was paying there too. We're paying to fight as amateurs.
For sure.
Well, speaking of paying, right around this time, you're working at a bouncer, I think at Wolfcats on top of Canyon Road at this period.
It was called Wildcats. Yeah.
Was it Wildcats? Okay.
Before that, I was working, like you said, at Par Lumber. So the whole beginning of my career, I worked at a place called Par Lumber. And I drove a forklift and build loads for, framing packages and stuff like that. But I would work all day and then I would get off of work and I would ride the Max, the light rail or the bus to the light rail and the light rail to Team Quest. And I did that for years and years. And eventually I moved to another Par Lumber because it's a franchise that was right by Team Quest, literally. And I worked there for another year or so. But then eventually, they let me go because winter was coming and layoffs were coming. And I was like, they knew my head was somewhere else. And I wasn't all in at their shitty little company, where they want to pay me $14 for the rest of my life. I remember my boss telling me, dude, you got to give up on your hopes and dreams and just like realize you got to work like a man, like the rest of us and all this. Cause I was trying to get weekends off and different stuff all the time to fight and stuff and training. And I was like, fuck you. I remember his big fat wife coming in and yelling at him and shit and being like, I'm not going to end up like this miserable fuck. You know what I mean? And years later, I saw him. He's like, oh man, I knew you could do it. I'm like, fuck you, bro. I was nice to him, but I was still just like, of course.
Those people are important though. Like you kind of get to see what you don't want to be.
Right. For sure, man. I thank him for that. Looking at a miserable fuck every morning. No way. No way I'm settling for this life. Not that my life's so much fucking greater than anybody else's, but just at the time I wanted more. I knew I had something in me to give. So.
And if your wife is under $3 bills, you're doing all right. That's where I look at it. Yeah. Andrew Taylor, absolute standout. Joey, I mean, in terms of like veteran, we always talk about boxes you got to check.
Right.
In the independent grind, you got to bounce at a strip club. It's just
that's what I did. Yeah,
it's just part of it. That's Wildcats. Yeah, Josh
like Frank Mir.
Yeah, Robert got me a job there. He knew the owner was his buddy. It was fun. It was fun. Yeah. And then I got into bartending. I started bouncing immediately. I'm like, what's next? How can I make more money? I've always been like a motivated person and worked hard. Like, how do I be a bartender? That's where the money's at. Being a bouncer, the money sucks. So I worked my way up to bartending and stuff too. That was fun.
So with Andrew Taylor, your split decision loss, how does that weigh in on you mentally? I mean, do you go back to the gym right away, or do you kind of sit in it?
I'm pretty sure we had a wild couple of nights drinking, and then I went back to the gym on Monday for sure. After I went to work, on Monday, most likely. I did have a hurt hamstring, so it might have slowed me down before I fought again after that. I'm not sure how long it was before I fought again, but
about a month and a half. Yeah, for a month and a half later.
That's not that long for beat up hamstring because it was black and blue. I didn't tear it in half, but it was black and blue, so it hurt. But yeah, I don't know. I was probably super bummed and pissed at the time, but I just went right back to work, and that was the mentality. That's the wrestling mentality. You lose on the weekend, you're right back in there for a dual meet on Tuesday. You got to get your head right, and maybe go wrestle the same guy who beat you.
Yeah, you got Jesse Ward. Like your wins are all coming by finish too. Jesse Ward, you win by submission April 19, 2003, Full Contact Fighting Federation, and Ryan Pope is right after that at Extreme Ring Wars.
Yeah, he was a tough kid. Ryan Pope was like from a local family. His dad and his uncle all fought. They were like Randy's age.
But you're finding finishes. And I think that's kind of one of the things that you have to learn as a beginning fighter. But you found it right away.
How to finish guys?
Yeah, you were finishing everybody.
That's what the plan is. Like a lot of my fights, till the end of my career, I'm trying to finish people. Always. Never trying to nurse out a decision. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to train the guys that I train over at American Top Team. We can get into that a little bit more later, but I train the amateur fight team there. I tell these guys, we want to fucking finish people. You want to ground and pound them. You want to hurt them. You want to split them open. You want to make people fucking scared. And early in my career, I did that.
Yeah, you put pushing your cardio. Shane Davis, I know you meet him twice. August 23rd, 2003. It's actually listed as a pro fight in between your amateurs.
An amateur fight, though, it's weird. They fucked that up. It's supposed to be an amateur.
So just so people can kind of understand, Shane also has a win over Matt Horwich.
Wow. Yeah, he was tough. He armbarred me. I think he might have armbarred Matt, too. He was a strong kid. Country boy, trained with Dennis Hellman and Benji Raddick. Another guy who could have been pretty good, I think, who didn't. I can't remember what happened to him. Life got in the way or whatever. But he was like a pretty burly, tough kid from what I remember.
Man, that Pacific Northwest, if you look at what was going on with Team Quest, look at what Matt Hughes was doing, that's driving distance. The amount of people that fought for world titles out of both, like within driving distance of those two areas, like you'd be hard pressed to find anywhere else in the world that like it had those type of numbers.
I agree 100% from Washington to through, Northern Oregon. Absolutely. Benji Raddick, different guys like that. You hear that,
tough.
and like, oh yeah, I forgot about him. Fuck, he was tough as hell. He was good anyway, but could have been great. Like one of the most athletic dudes I ever met. And like charismatic as hell, man. Like if he could have got his shit together and man, he could have killed it.
Yeah, I've had a couple of dealings with Raddick. Always a stand-up guy. Never had any issues with him. Like truly a man of his word.
Yeah, he was always cool as hell to me. Early on too, when you're first coming up, there's some of the fighters who are already at a bigger stage and they weren't always the nicest or the friendliest, but some guys like Benji were cool right away. Always super cool. He would try to kill me in the practice room, but then he's buying me my first beer at the bar too. So
yeah. I mean, and even like Jeff Monson, that's another name from up there. And I mean, you'd mentioned him earlier, Dennis Hallman. Dennis Hallman, in regards to his athletic ability, especially in the gym, you'd be hard pressed to find anybody better than him. Like he was Matt Hughes' favorite student.
He was really good. I remember when I first met him, he was really good. He was such a prick though, until I could kick his ass, and then he became nice.
Everybody says
so
that.
He knew I could actually whoop him. I was bigger than him too, obviously, but
yeah. His relationship with Jeff Monson, a movie needs to be made out of.
Yeah, Monson's fucking crazy stories because I trained with and worked together with Fabiano Scherner. Was coached by him for many years, and he knew Monson and all those crazy guys pretty well. Like he lived up north in Olympia before he came to Team Quest and trained with all those guys. And his lineage goes way back to training with Nogueira and all those guys too, and a bunch of crazy people.
Yeah. So Shane Davis, you lose by armbar, and Shane actually had a draw with Matt Horwich. I think I misspoke on that. All right. So after you get a rematch with Ryan Pope, you win by armbar. Right around this time, Travis West, the old Olympian, did you ever get on a mat with him at Team Quest? I know he was there. He may have been there prior to you.
That name sounds familiar, but I don't remember.
Yeah, he died of liver failure.
Yeah, I don't remember. The name sounds familiar, but I don't recall training with him.
What was it like fighting for Matt Hume, January 3rd, 2004, Pacific Pancration Kickboxing Association? Rich Guerin is your opponent.
Oh, man. Rich Guerin, he passed away a few years back, so hope he rests in peace.
Yeah, another one. Another one.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that was my first pro fight. That was actually my first pro fight. The rest of those ones, some of them say pro, they're not. They're amateur. Rich Guerin was my first pro fight. January 2004. I remember because I was 23. I was like a skinny kid. And he was like, he wasn't much older than me, but he sure seemed like it. He was like a man. He was like all raw. Like I was scared shitless. He had a bunch of fights,
Well, he's 6-3. Just so he's got a win over Matt Horwich and a loss to Cedric Marks. Cedric Marks, another character from that area who's currently on death row.
Oh man, but he was like the leader of the Yakima Valley MMA kind of thing. He was like the big name coming out of there, for whatever reason. So anyway, I beat him with Kimura. I think first pro fight was a title fight too, 5 rounds, I think, or something like that. And I was like,
what was the paycheck like?
Yeah, I mean, title, dude. It's got to be huge money,
bro. Big money. $500. So.
Wow.
Bill. That's a week's pay. That's a week's pay, bro.
Was it 250 or a flat 5?
Probably 250. Those cheap fighters back then. I can't remember.
Did you take home a title belt?
I took home a title belt. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Was it one of those like ordered from like a boxing website?
Yeah, it was like an old boxing style one for sure.
Shitty.
They're crusty. It's all tarnished
with a sticker with your promotion name on it.
When you're that age, it doesn't matter. You're a champion.
Yeah, that was cool. That was the beginning of my pro career right there, man. And for me, that was a big win because Rich Guerin was a respected guy out here.
6-3, dude. Legit tough dude. Yeah, legit tough guy. Derek Downey is 5-1. So here, just so when you're a pro, you're supposed to bring somebody along. You're supposed to, not pad the record a little bit, but just kind of fill in the holes, making sure the
not
tools
thrown to
are
the wolves.
Tools are. So Rich Guerin is 6-3. Derek Downey is 5-1 with wins over Hank Weiss, who's a future UFC vet. Hank Weiss is legit.
Yeah. Derek made it to UFC too, or at least on Ultimate Fighter, I think.
Yeah. So you got to finish over Guerin in the 4th round. And then Derek Downey, you knock him out in the 3rd round.
Okay.
You got a gas tank on you, dude.
It was like this more than anything.
The heart.
I trained my ass off.
Downey was no punk.
No. He was tough. Utah kid, so he's coming in with good cardio too. They got elevation out there.
He went the distance against Josh Berkman. I mean, he was definitely no pushover.
Yeah. Him and Josh had a war too, for sure. Josh trained with us a bunch at that time.
Yeah. So right after the Downey fight, you actually took on a teaching job at Team Quest. At least that's what I have in my notes.
Yeah, I started coaching. I was wanting to coach pretty early right away. Me and Chris both enjoyed coaching. And either at that point or before that, I was already coaching that team.
Okay.
Not for very much money, but, it was something that I've been passionate about since early in my career.
It's a leadership role. It also gives you a different look at what it is. Like you have to verbalize what it is you're supposed to do. Everybody says, like, to really advance as a fighter, at some point you got to take an instructor role on, because it makes you look at the same thing over and over a little bit differently.
Oh, 100%. Like at my gym, I have blue belts and white belts helping out with the kids and stuff as soon as they show interest, because they're only going to get better repeating and watching the technique done over and over and over and helping people tighten it up and regurgitating what they hear from the coach, the head coach.
You got Justin Hawes in Desert Brawl. You win by armbar.
Oh, he was another tough son of a bitch. I remember he was like an older guy. I'm like, oh man, I still feel like I was a scrawny kid and barely had a hair on my chin. You know what I mean? And I went out to Desert Brawl, right? Beat him. He was tough. He was a tough son of a bitch too, man.
When you're in your early 20s and you're looking at grown men and you got to fight them, it's a mental obstacle you got to get over. You got to jump over that.
Kind of. I've been beating up grown men since I was about 13, so still nervous, still scared every time though. Still, get those little in your belly. But
so Joey, you got a prospect. You got to bring him along.
Yeah.
I mean, he right here, because he's only got 3 fights, but he's got a good group of guys. They give him April 17th, 2004. Matt Lindland does him a huge favor. He gets him Jason Flynn. He's 6-1 with wins over Dean Lister, Dennis King, Edwin Dewey's, and Hank Weiss.
I was at the Dean Lister win. That was wet and wild. Yeah.
He was one of my toughest fights ever.
Yeah,
and that dude
shit.
was jacked. Talk about being intimidated. I remember looking across at him, and he was so fucking shredded and ripped and buff. I was thinking, oh my God, what did Matt get me into this time? Because he was physically the most intimidating guy I think I fought at the time, just the way he was built.
Stacked card too. Chris Lieben's on it. Glover Teixeira is fighting in the main event. I mean, it looks like a good card.
It was great, man. The old sport fight cards were pretty damn good out here.
Scott Smith.
Yeah, you didn't really have any easy fights, and from this period on, it gets pretty steep. You fought at Pride and Fury, the professional fighting association in Idaho, against Corey Davila. Corey actually has 4 fights in Strikeforce.
Corey's tough as nails too. He's another one of those guys who could have been really, really good. He came out and punched me, double legged me to the ground almost right away. I was like, son of a bitch. Luckily, I had a good arm bar.
Yeah. You get a rematch with Shane Davis. You get that one back, June 26, 2004. And then you needed that. That's more of a mental thing. And And think about this. It's a guy that beat him in the past.
Yeah.
So it's really not a favor. A favor is a guy that's like 3-12. You're just trying to get a payday.
I think it was a favor. I think Ed wanted that one back.
He may have wanted it, but it's still not an easy fight.
And if you look at the rest of the guys I fought, he was actually one of the easier guys, probably.
Right. You go and fly to Japan for Pancrase, July 25th, 2004. Is this your first time on an airplane ever?
It's not my first time on the airplane, but pretty close, maybe second. First time traveling out of the country for sure. I think I flew to Minnesota to see my grandma once before that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe if there was any other fights on there out of state, maybe I flew, but not Idaho. We drove. So anyway, yeah, fly to Tokyo. Me and Chris go. Lieben goes with me. We're like 24 in Japan. Insane.
Did you go to Roppongi?
Oh, we did go to Roppongi. I got a great story about that after we talked about it.
Yeah. So Joey, he's got a 13-3-2, a guy from Japan, Kazu Masaki. And as we've discussed, for our listeners, a 500 record in Japan means you're a tough SOB.
Yes.
It really does. And when you're 13-3-2 with wins over Joe Riggs, Dennis King, Dan Henderson, Phil Baroni, and Makako.
So this is the one where Matt Lindland and Dan call me and they're like, hey, we got a fight for you in Japan on like a week's notice because Art Santori was supposed to have it and he got hurt. They're like, you want it? I'm like, fuck yeah, I want it. Let's go. Maybe it was 2 weeks. I don't know.
Wait, so did you have a passport or did you have to apply for a passport?
Probably had to go get the passport and all that.
Oh, that's a whole day, 2 days.
But whatever. I didn't care about that. I was like ready to get it done, Hell yeah. That was why I got in. That's the kind of opportunity. Looking back, that's why I got in this sport, and what I love about it the most is traveling the world and seeing shit. And just doing that kind of thing, like taking a fight in Japan on 2 weeks' notice. Against Kazu Masaki, who I had no idea was a legend over there. So he's like, just some Japanese guy, you'll smash him. Chael's on the same card, bro. Chael's fighting. So that was pretty cool. Me, Chael, and Lieben. And there was another guy from Team Quest South on the card. Heath something. What's his last name? Not Heath Herring, but Heath
Sims?
Heath Sims,
Heath Sims is on the card.
So I think we all fight on that card. So I had a crew of guys with me. It was pretty cool. But I get there.
JT Money's manager, Heath Sims. Yeah, go ahead.
And I get there, and the media is all over me taking pictures. How do you feel about fighting the Japanese legend Kazu Masaki and all this shit? Like, what the hell? They're literally there waiting for me at the airport. You're the sacrificial American lamb, It was awesome. And I lost, but I feel like I almost beat him. I kicked his ass in the first round. He had a big old shiner. Second round, I came out, and I don't know. I feel like my cardio wasn't very good. I don't know if it was the jet lag or just, all of it. You know what I mean? He took me down, passed my guard, and arm triangle choked me, put me to sleep. I think that was one of the first times I ever got put out cold in a fight.
How many days were you in Japan before the fight?
Couple. I don't know.
Yeah, they definitely set you up with the jet lag. They love doing that.
So when you fly, even if it's like from California to Chicago or Chicago to Florida, it's like pressure that gets built up in your chest that you got to get out of your body. And it takes a couple days to do that for your cardio to kind of catch up to you.
Oh, man, I know for sure. I just got back from Brazil. I always struggle when I first get there. Every year we go to Brazil. When I first get there, I'm always like sick for like 3 days. It's horrible.
Yeah, you got to load up on vitamin C, 2,000 milligrams every couple hours. That's what they recommend. Yeah, for the first few days when you're there. So Kazu Masaki, just so people can kind of understand, he retires after beating a prime Paul Daly.
Yeah. He was tough, man. I was wanted that back. I was always talking to Joe Silva. I was like, sign this fucking Kazu Masaki guy. I want to rematch him. Give me him. But I never got to.
So if you notice, like Japanese fighters do really well fighting in Japan against top talent, but they don't do really well fighting in the UFC. It's that same jet lag type situation.
Traveling across the world like that and competing. Not fun. Early in my career, I loved it, but later in my career, they're like, you want to go to Abu Dhabi? I'm like, fuck no. Go fight in Abu Dhabi? No fucking way. No, thank you. I'll fight in Vegas.
Yeah.
Again, if you'd asked me when I was 22, though, I'd have been like, hell yeah, put me on the plane. Let's go. Just because I was excited to see the world,
Your next opponent, which is about a month away, is Brian Ebersol, August 28, 2004. He's 27-8-1.
Yeah. Not bad, right?
Dude, wait. There's more. It's like, that commercial where they say, there's more. There's more coming. Ebersol's a stud.
Yeah. Yeah, he got to the UFC later after that, I think. Or before that or something. He was in the UFC eventually.
Yeah, living in Australia now. So you lose to Masaki. You beat Ebersol by triangle, which is super tough. I mean, Ebersol's is...
I think I put Ebersol to sleep. He was so tough, man. I would have had to kill that guy or put him to sleep. Like, I remember choking the shit out of him. Super tough. Really
funny
tough.
Guy, too. Funny guy.
Hilarious, yeah. Super funny guy. Cool to fight a guy like that who's like, super friendly and shit.
Doesn't give it. Yeah, doesn't care. Yeah, it's
like tough
just,
and whatever.
Just
fuck you, but also like super. That's the fight game though. There's a lot of cool motherfuckers who are in this game because we're all little nuts.
So you go from August to October 23rd. Canada's first 50 Fight Club member, Joe Doerkson, the pride of Manitoba, 27-6.
Killer.
Yeah. He'd just beat Chris Lieben, I think.
In a potential fight of the year. That was in the FFC, I believe, right?
Yep.
Out in like Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yep.
Yeah. Rob Coates, I think is his name. Yeah. Super tough. Great promotion.
Man, I was beating the shit out of him too, right? Doerkson, and then he caught me in a triangle, fucking put me to sleep again. I was out cold. I think I DDT'd myself pretty good though. I double legged him. Like Jake the Snake DDT, like on the head. Boom. I did that to myself so bad. I think my neck's been fucked up ever since that fight. But he ended up triangling me, put me out to sleep.
Yeah, he's kind of the Canadian version of Jeremy Horn.
That was my only two losses before I got in the UFC, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And Doerkson, because the other one is Shane Davis and Taylor were amateur fights. They don't count.
So right around this time, The Ultimate Fighter season 1 is filming. Did you try out for TUF 1?
I did, yeah. They flew me, Chris, Nate, some other guys out for that. They interviewed us. I did the whole interview process, all the medicals and everything. And they went with Nate and Chris because they were uglier and they thought I was too handsome. They didn't want to look that. No, because they were more experienced. They had more fights than me and had been fighting in bigger shows. So they were ahead of me in line in a sense, right? So they both had good stories as well with their background. So they chose those nerds over me in the first season.
When you saw that layout, like how Lieben really wasn't handling things well and Quarry kind of took a leadership role, did it surprise you about how they were kind of featured on that program?
No, because, for one, I mean, later, no, because it's TV and they try to like blow the character up. Whatever the character is, they try to make the most out of it to make it exciting for TV, I guess, if that sounds right. But Nate was like the big brother to me and Chris, kind of anyway. He was older than us. He was like, a mentor in a sense for me and Chris anyway. And sometimes just picking on us or whatever, it was. But Nate had that kind of big brother role already in the gym, so that part didn't surprise me.
Lieben had it was like almost like a heel turn in pro wrestling midway through that first season. Did it surprise you at all, or?
No, not really. I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect with the show, right? I didn't really care. You know what I mean? I thought it was awesome. My bro was on TV, But they did kind of make him look bad, and that was unfortunate because Chris is such a good guy, But it kind of came out later in the season, like the emotion came out of.
Yeah.
He is a good goob. He's going through a lot, didn't have a lot of support. And, again, why Robert Falls was so important is a lot of us,
Yeah.
and what we were doing.
So, Joey, you got a guy in his last two fights. He's been put to sleep twice, once in Japan, once against, Joe Doerkson, who's, pretty incredible as a fighter.
Right.
You're Matt Lindland. We got to figure this out. You got to get this guy on the right track. March 26, 2005, Sport Fight brings in a title fight against a 2-1 Glover Teixeira.
205 too. This is my first time at 205.
Yeah, up a
I
weight
weighed
class.
I weighed in at 203, didn't cut a pound.
Glover Teixeira, this is his third Team Quest member that he's fought. He fought Sokaju, fought Horwich, and now he's got Ed Herman.
Either. He didn't have no easy fights either,
He's about to go on an absolute 20-fight tear.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And he's like Chuck Liddell and Hackelman. He's with Hackelman and Chuck Liddell, so that's intimidating. He's a giant Brazilian.
He's not that famous yet. He's not that famous yet, but he's a killer.
That's why I'm like, fuck him. I'm going to kick his Brazilian ass. Sorry, Fabiano. That's what's going to happen. It kind of reminded me of Fabiano's big ass.
And think about this. He's doing landscaping. Like right now, Glover Teixeira is the world's toughest landscaper.
Dude, I was doing landscaping too. So my backyard yesterday. So, so at the time I knew he was tough. Of course, I was like, but I wanted the title. I think Chris was the champ at 85 at Sport Fight. So I was like, I want the title, Matt. At light heavyweight, that's what it's going to have to be, So yeah, I beat Teixeira in I can't remember, 3 or 5 round decision. I'd won every round, out wrestled him, took him down, and worked on my ground and pound. I remember though, I was thinking, Brazilian guy, this is how much was unknown about him. I'm like, fucking, okay, Brazilian guy, I'm going to work on my hands because he's going to try to grapple me, right? This is a great fight for me to work on my hands. He's more of a striker than a grappler at this point. And he's training with Hackelman. And so I come out there, his big ass hits me and spins me in a circle. So I'm like, fuck this. I'll work on my hands next fight. Double legs, the whole fight. Double legs, double legs. But I remember that thinking, fuck, man, I wanted to work on my hands because I was taking everybody down, to where Chris used to give me shit, like about not standing and banging,
He's the wrong guy to experiment your stand-up with.
I wouldn't do that. I would say hard no. Hard no on that.
I never knew, that he was going to go on a run like that. So when he won the title years later, I was like, hell yeah, let's go, Teixeira. Then I thought maybe if I could win one more, they'd give me like the Rocky shot at Teixeira since I beat him so many years ago. But I couldn't quite pull that together, and then I retired.
Did you guys ever communicate after this?
I don't think so. Maybe we ran into each other and like handshakes, how you doing, kind of thing. But we never really, stayed in touch, had conversations.
No, okay. Yeah, he's got a really good gym right now. Yeah, Teixeira. Yeah, in Connecticut.
Yeah. Nice. Good for him.
Yeah, he's doing really well. After Teixeira, you get your hand raised there. A month, like 33 days later, you're at the IFC Mayhem in Montana. Paul Smith is the promoter. Joe Riggs was the original opponent. He falls out. Romez Brower flies under the radar. I've seen him fight live like 3 or 4 times. Tough. Dude. Heavy hands. Oh, yeah.
Super tough. Again, I remember after the fight hanging out with him and being like, dude, come to Oregon and train. We'll help you get good, dude. You have the abilities. But he's like, man, I got 6 kids and shit. And I can't, or something like some kind of crazy story. And it was like pretty funny.
He moved to Chicago. He was living with Bob Shermer for a while over at Combat Doe. I got to see him fight live a few times locally. Tough as fuck.
Super tough. And took that fight on short notice. Joe Riggs backed out on short notice. I think he took that fight and didn't really know what he was getting into. And then he looked into it and changed his fucking mind. Didn't show up for the fight. But who knows for sure.
June 17th, 2005, there was a guy on the independent circuit that is on an absolute tear. His name is Nick Thompson.
Nick Thompson, Nick the GOAT, yeah. So I flew out to somewhere in the middle of fucking nowhere and fought him.
Canton, Ohio. Dave Gardner was a promoter.
Oh, that's right. Canton, Ohio. I wasn't in the middle of nowhere. My bad. That was my first time in Ohio. interesting place.
Yeah, Nick Thompson, if he's studying to be a lawyer in 2005 and fought more times than Travis Fulton did that year.
How many times did he fight?
While studying for the bar.
He's an interesting dude. So smart, like super cool guy. We've talked multiple times since then. Always good conversation.
You know, the thing about Nick is when we brought this up, because Nick was on a tear, and I remember when he lined that up, I'm like, you got a guy from Wisconsin against a guy from Oregon fighting in Ohio. It reeks of a promoter that probably isn't over his head and you're not going to get paid. Like, phenomenal card, nobody shows up. It's kind of one of those situations. At least that's what it appears as. But, you know, when I talked to Thompson about it, Nick is just like, yeah, I wasn't beating that Herman that night. He's like, nope, didn't have, like, it was just, didn't have a shot.
I knew he was scared when I saw him. Not to be disrespectful, like Nick's a great guy. I could see that, you know, that I had him, just like you see somebody, you're like, God. And I somehow beat him with mental edge too. I feel like you sometimes lose fights mentally. Like he went in that fight, I feel like not thinking he could win. You know what I mean? And I could feel that somehow. You know what I mean? I'm sure that happened to me against Jacare a little bit, I think. But
it was a TKO injury. What did he hurt? That's how SureDog has it listed anyway.
His vagina. No, I'm kidding. I can't remember something. He did hurt something, but it wasn't going good for him already.
Yeah. No, he readily admitted that. I mean, that was out of his mouth. Yeah, he's like, it was just downhill.
Can't remember what. But.
Yeah, you got TKO injury, and then Dave Minet is at Extreme Challenge 63, July 23rd, 2005. Like, dude, you're fighting legends.
Yeah, Dave Minet was the first UFC champ at middleweight, right? And Nick got in the UFC later, right? Like after we fought, Nick got in the UFC, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Didn't he fight in the UFC a couple times?
Yeah, he got a couple. Carol Parisian, and I think there was Keith Wisniewski. Yeah, those are two of the three times he fought.
Then Dave Minet. That was a cool experience.
Yeah, Minet's a legend. Absolute legend.
I got a funny story about that. So after the fight, we're all sitting at the table. We were fighting. Dave was actually winning the fight, really. But I think he punched himself out because he hit me with like everything he had, and I was still standing there bleeding, but coming after him. And then he had some kind of injury. I think he had to pull out of it. He couldn't answer the bell. But it probably wasn't going to get any better for him. It was getting more in my favor, you know. But anyway, we're sitting at dinner afterwards. All of us are there, all the fighters. Monty Cox, I believe, is his manager. So there's all these big wigs. There's all these big name guys. Matt Hughes is there. And Matt, I don't know if Matt was drinking or what, but he started kind of giving me shit. And I'm like, fuck you, Matt Hughes, because I'm young and confident and like, fuck you, Matt Hughes. Like, I'll kick your little ass. He was the UFC champ at the time. And I'm telling him to fuck off. And I'm like 24. I don't know what I was thinking. He would have killed me. But at the time, you know, I remember us. It wasn't like crazy, but it's just like giving each other shit. It was pretty funny. I think I pissed him off because after that, he was like never nice to me again when I saw him. He remembered me. He's like one of those guys who try to pretend like he didn't, but I know he did.
Yeah, Matt's an interesting guy.
You know, he was always kind of a dick to everybody, though. So maybe I shouldn't have took it personal.
What year? Is he a dick to everybody, or is he just like your typical alpha wrestler?
I think that you're right. When guys are really good alpha wrestlers, they're usually fucking dickheads. Very rare they like a Randy Couture. They're usually like that.
Matt Hughes is the villain in his own autobiography. If you read American Made, he's the villain of the story. So that's my take on him.
So I won't hold it against him. I guess some people say I'm a dick too, probably. But my girlfriend's laughing over here.
Let's talk about some of your former teammates. A guy that doesn't get enough credit, Ryan Schultz.
Ryan Schultz, man, tough son of a bitch. He took some tough fights too. If you look at his record, holy shit.
He was supposed to be on The Ultimate Fighter too. I know he was one of the guys that got flown out.
Oh yeah, multiple times. He got flown out. for a couple different opportunities. It just never happened. He almost got signed to the UFC too. They chose Sengoku over the UFC, and which was, I think, not the best choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what ended up happening.
What was your relationship like with Evan Tanner?
Man, it was good. He was like a big brother too, kind of. I remember him beating the absolute shit out of me in practice, and having no real remorse, but then like still help you up and like nothing ever happened. Like, you just kicked me in the leg until I fell down crying, and now you're acting like nothing happened. I remember he was like one of those guys. For me, maybe I'm a pussy, but when I'm 22, 21, and like guys like Dan Henderson, him are beating the absolute shit out of you, and you don't want to quit, but you're like crying almost at the same time while you're sparring, like trying to hold back the tears, like just coming at him with right hands and double legs. Like, oh man, those are some brutal days, taking leg kicks from Evan Tanner. We weren't close outside of the gym. I would see him, from time to time, dinners, or, maybe have a beer or something, but I didn't know like the demons that he had outside of the gym. I had heard about him later, with some of his drinking and stuff like that, problems that he had. I think he overcame a lot of that too, but he was definitely an influence. I mean, he was a UFC champion at one point. He's one of the guys who taught me how to throw elbows. So if you watch some of my early MMA fights with my ground and pound, like when I hit Scott Smith with the elbow over the top and like ripped his nose in half, like that's an Evan Tanner elbow. He showed me early in the career. So he was definitely somebody who made a big difference in my career.
Matt Lindland, was he as rough in the gym as the rumors are?
Yeah. But one of the people that I learned work ethic from, he was one of the hardest working dudes I ever met. You talk about no athleticism and hard work, that's Matt more than me. I hope Chael said that. I'd be pissed if he said the other way around. But Matt is like unathletic as hell, man, but one of the hardest workers. He had some stories about even that in high school and stuff, like him getting beat on and stuffed in trash cans early in high school, and then, later become one of the hardest working, toughest wrestlers ever come out of that high school, but rough and tumble too, would beat you up. He beat the crap out of Scott Smith one time pretty bad in practice, which was kind of an unethical thing, in a sense of the way he went at it. But, like Scott did something to piss him off.
I think Scott was going to get a title shot, and Matt thought he was deserving of the title shot. Well, that was the kind of the controversy behind it.
I think so. I think it was just a heated sparring session.
So okay.
I think it was just them. That's what I remember. Is he hit Matt really hard and dropped him or something, and then Matt big brothered him. That's what I remember. So I remember that. I remember being there for that. But guys like, but you got two guys like that who are both title contenders training together early in the day. That's how good
they're going to fight. Yeah, they're going to fight.
Yeah, and they're going to fight too. So.
Yeah, they're going to fight. What about Kim Couture?
Kim Couture. I didn't really know Kim that well. Like when I met Randy, he had a different wife. I think he met Kim after he moved to Vegas, maybe, or was it right before he moved to Vegas? I don't know. No, it must have been before, actually. Yeah. But she wasn't really fighting or anything until after they were gone. You know what I mean? She was just like Randy's wife, I think, as far as I remember, I didn't think much of it because I didn't, I was young,
Yeah. When Team Quest split up, was it a surprise to you?
It kind of was like a slow process. Like, okay, first Randy left, and that wasn't really like the end of it or anybody splitting up. I mean, maybe to other people it was. Like I remember him inviting me to come to Vegas with him, but I just knew I wasn't mature enough to live in Las Vegas at the time. So I remember him leaving. I didn't really know what was going on. Some of that was kept from some of us, the younger guys, as far as like the Matt and Dan and Randy all kind of like doing their own thing. You know what I mean? Because Robert was still there. He was my head coach. You know what I mean? Randy was like the leader, but like he wasn't the head coach. You know what I mean? So Robert was still the head coach. We still had the foundation there. Myself, Chris, guys like Josh Berkman, and different people were there. Nate, Chael Sonnen, were all still there. Before that, again, we had a lot of guys come in all the time. Some of those guys were still coming in. Like I told you on the phone, one day I think I sparred with Evan Tanner, BJ Penn, Tim Sylvia, Randy Couture, Matt Lindland, Chris Lieben, like all on the same day. I sparred these legends, unbelievable.
Oh.
That was, again, before Randy left. Before Randy left, we got more big names coming in, like people from all over the world. But we still had guys like Yushin Okami who'd come in all the time. We had quite a few Japanese guys that would come in that were pretty badass young in my career. So the Team Quest was still alive for a long time. And then Chris left to Hawaii, but we were still banging pretty good, doing pretty good. But then Matt kind of just slowly, I don't know what happened exactly, it's hard to hold the gym together like that in any sense. But, and then eventually, like, people started leaving, really leaving. Me and Schultz left. To me, that was the end of Team Quest when me and Schultz left, because that was the end of it for me. You know what I mean? And that was the final straw for a lot of people, actually. Because after that, Fabiano was there at that time, and he was running the jiu-jitsu program. He stayed a little bit longer because he had the jiu-jitsu program, you know what I mean? But the MMA team was pretty non-existent, pretty quickly after me and Schultz left, I think. And that was 2010. We went to Colorado. It was kind of the end of Team Quest. To me, anyway. Maybe to other people, it was before that.
I really wish somebody would do a documentary on it. The issue is getting a timeline together.
Yeah, because Paulus left to Vegas too, I think. So yeah, Paulus left before me, maybe.
Yeah, and Sean, yeah, no, he definitely did. And Sean Tompkins, did you ever work out with him at all?
Yeah. So again, back like I said, so many great people would come through. Sean Tompkins come through, a couple different times. He came through. Mark Hominick, guys like
Sam Stout.
Like Hominick, to me, I remember really looking up to his striking, after meeting him and Sean Tompkins early in my career. Yeah, I was exposed. Like I got to be reminded almost. I was exposed to so many great coaches and people, like you said, Sean Tompkins. I'm like, oh yeah, him too. It's just unbelievable the amount of people that I got to be exposed to early on in my career.
And that rubs off on you too. Like greatness tends to rub off on people.
Absolutely. And the confidence too, all that. You got to think you're unstoppable. Like, be crazy about it, It's kind of a crazy mentality to think about how you have to believe it, like no man can beat you no matter what, which is pretty unrealistic, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to be in that mindset, and being around those type of coaches.
So that ends your pre-UFC fight career, which is pretty impressive. Like,
yeah.
Did you ever work out with Jesse Taylor, JT Money?
No, I don't think I did ever.
Okay, he was in Temecula.
He was Team Quest style. We didn't cross train with those guys a whole lot. Henderson would come in and bring guys sometimes. I don't remember Jesse Taylor coming. He probably did at one point, but I might have missed him or something,
Yeah, your pre-UFC career is pretty intense. Like, very few people have that journey. Like, no gimmies.
It's cool to have that recognized, because it didn't get any easier once I got in the UFC. Pretty much my entire career, I've fought the toughest fuckers in the world. You know what I mean? So,
which is what set you up for a 29-fight UFC career. You didn't bounce back and forth like a lot of guys do. Once you were in the UFC, you were a UFC fighter your whole career. Very impressive.
Well, it took me three to get there, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, you did it. I mean, Fowles helped you. Like, he made you write it down.
Yeah.
What other goals were on that piece of paper? Do you remember?
No, I don't know if I had other goals besides become the UFC champion. I'm sure being the champion was on there, which never fucking happened, but it's kind of hard. kind of a hard deal to make happen.
Yeah. To even fight for a title is pretty, it's pretty impressive that in its own right. Yeah, no, Ed, it's like if you look at your career, 29 fights in the UFC is unheard of, even in today's day and age. And you were at a time where you guys weren't doing 2-3 shows a month. Like back then, it was, it was a privilege to get on a card, and sometimes
Yeah, it
difficult.
wasn't near as many cards. Everybody knew who was on the card. Everybody was ready to watch because they were every couple months, it felt like back in the day.
That was the golden era.
Yeah. No, for sure. Ed Herman, absolute pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so retired now. I have a gym in Vancouver, Washington, in this shitty kind of area I grew up in, pretty close Hazeldale neighborhood. So it's cool. I got kids coming in there from the same neighborhood that I was stomping around when I was a kid. We have a scholarship program for kids, kids who need it, the parents need it, single moms kind of stuff, whatever we can do to help out the community, get some young kids off the streets like I was, because it did a lot for me, wrestling and then finding martial arts. So if I can get some kids, out of that situation earlier in life and on the right track through jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, that's what we're doing over there. A little bit of wrestling, obviously.
And that's short fuse MMA, and you can reach out on Instagram. Is that how to get a hold of you guys?
So it's short fuse martial arts.
Okay.
I actually called the gym Fuse Martial Arts because didn't want to like scare off soccer moms. Like short fuse, oh, that sounds bad, so I wasn't sure of the play there. But all our social media is short fuse martial arts. And then again, we do kids. We start them at 3 years old, like in jiu-jitsu. It's pretty cute. And then we have adults nogi. We have Muay Thai. We have some kids Muay Thai. Beginner, mid-level stuff. If people start showing that they want to be, a killer, and fight MMA and stuff like that, we send them to American Top Team, which is where I'm one of the assistant coaches to Fabiano Scherner, who's the head coach. I kind of run the amateur fight team, and so my gym's a little bit of a feeder. We have about 8 affiliates. We're all under the Chest Lab brand, which is Fabiano Scherner's jiu-jitsu brand. Even though we're American Top Team over in Portland, that's the gym I fought out of. We're Chest Lab Jiu-Jitsu, which is like Fabiano's brand of jiu-jitsu, and we have about 8 affiliates, and pretty good thing we got going on with all the kids programs and stuff. We do tournaments and in-house stuff, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you hung out as a brown belt for a long time.
I did, man. So when I was in Colorado, I was a brown belt almost the whole time. I was training with the whole Easton crew a ton.
Kamal Easton, yeah.
Kamal Easton, Nick Klein, Elliot Marshall, like some really, really good jiu-jitsu guys. Bunch of cool guys out there. Foster Bailey, guys who helped me out a ton. So when I was in Colorado, I had a resurgence in my career because I was really training a lot of jiu-jitsu and putting in a lot of work with guys like Trevor Whitman and Jake Ramos, and a lot of good people around Trevor Whitman. He's been a pretty successful coach out of Colorado.
Yeah, great guy. Great guy.
Yeah, so I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Ed, go enjoy your day. We're starting the year off with you. Sincerely appreciate it. Thank you, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. So check out my gym, Short Fuse Martial Arts.
100%. Thanks, buddy.
Take care, guys.
Joey Venti.
Hell of a kickoff for the new year. Thank you very much, Hong Kong Fooey. He set this one up for us from the underground.
Yeah, 2026. Yeah. Starting at 26. I think we're going to go right back to Jared Shaw. I'm hoping to get 3 episodes out of him. It's like so friggin' good.
Yeah.
Right around this period, midway through December through about midway January, a lot of podcasters don't put out a lot of content, like high-end content, because the views are generally down to where like October, November, you're actually peaking. But Jared Shaw, like Elite XC come on, man. Phenomenal story.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's
a great time in MMA, man. Very exciting time to be a fan.
Yeah. Joey, we actually have been getting Apple reviews. They've been coming in. We're at 99 reviews.
99.
To be like the mid-range of the top 10 podcasts on Apple, you got to have about 400.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, top 10 podcasts. You're talking about like Rogan and big names.
except that do we here the number of downloads that we get, we should have a few hundred.
Yeah.
We really should, but
Get to it, guys.
I'm
Come
not
on.
going to
Help
call
us
our
out.
audience zombie listeners. I mean, I think that's the term that the kids use for it. Oh, we just got another one coming in. It says, huge fan, Ray from Minnesota. I'm not the fan that you guys obviously are, but I'm definitely a bigger fan than I thought I was. I fell out of love with the sport when the personalities and style matchups left. I listened to you guys 3 to 4 hours a day while at work. Thank you for telling the stories that need to be told. My two biggest requests for future content would involve Super Brawl Roundtable or Deep Dive, and anything involving Jeff Sherwood. I agree with that. I was in touch with Jeff Sherwood from Sherdog. We 100% owe him a deep dive. And to be honest with you, it'd be like a multi-part series. I'd have to kind of whittle down our questions to like a certain era and then build from there. I listened to everything from Sherdog back in the day, and I feel like this site is the single most, I feel that his site is the single most important journalistic hub that blew up in the sport in its infancy. I agree with that.
Yes.
TJ DeSantis, Justin Breen, Josh Gross, Greg Savage, Loretta Hunt, and of course, Jeff Sherdog. Joey has a huge has been a huge get for the podcast. Make sure you fellas get input moving forward. Hoping you guys have a great Christmas. Last but not least, I've been to Brad Kohler's show. That's a legit guy right there.
Yeah, that's a real fan.
Useless Degree also came in. What Mike is doing is essentially graduate level sociology, anthropology, and history, recording and analysis. If he were to wrap it all up these into a thesis, we could get a graduate or doctorate degree. Next time you think studying something is useless, think of Mike. I appreciate that. And then the best podcast of, I love this podcast as a practitioner of martial arts and a fellow historian and fan. I never miss an episode. So anybody, 5-star reviews, we had a 3-star up there. I'm not reading that. You guys want to have some constructive criticism, I'm more than happy to address it, but I'm not going to do it on a 3-star review. I don't know. Anything else, Joe?
Yeah, seriously, that review said a lot. It said Joey was a big get
I agree with that.
Hey, he had a lot of insight. That guy's onto something.
Here, let me expand on that. Pre-Joey, in essence, you could only have it's like an interrogation. You can have one lead investigator and one guy kind of throwing in the occasional like barb or help or kind of pivot, and that's how it's good. You get one guy driving, one person with direction, and then you kind of move forward from there. But when there's two drivers, you can only go in so many directions without it appearing like schizophrenic.
I think you overwhelm the guest when shots are coming in equal numbers from both sides. So I'm cool being number 2. I like being a lieutenant.
Well, it's I mean, I send you the notes. Yeah. You give me feedback. We go back and forth. You throw in your stuff. It's like it's a good plan of attack.
It works for me. I'm proud to be. It
really works for me as well. And I'm going to tell you, like, I can't tell you how many times you said, "Well, what about this, 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 and this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah. I got to go there," and I put it in notes, and it's actually very. It helps me out.
It is always good to bounce things off of another set of eyes as almost as obsessed as you are.
I would say, dude, we're like we have an equal level of mental illness that just kind of goes in like sometimes different areas
that we're hiding from our wives as best we can. Yes.
Yeah. But like, I mean, to kind of volley the times that like where you throw me something prior to the interview, it's not selfish. It's like, okay, no, dude, you're driving, but don't forget to turn this corner or that corner.
Right.
And don't forget about this finish line. And you're not the guy going, running in there. It works.
I try not to jump in at the wrong time, but I also don't try to just sit here the entire time.
No, dude, it's fantastic. No, it's really good. It's really, really good. So Joey, sincerely appreciate all your help. We're moving forward. I think we're doing a Marco Huas.
Yes. Yeah. We're doing a mini documentary on the king of the streets, Marco Huas.
I got to get the times from our podcast set aside.
Unfortunately, we never interviewed him because we don't speak Portuguese, but a lot of guys have brought him up, and that's going to be useful.
And he won't do interviews. Like, he doesn't feel comfortable doing interviews where like he's not like speaking Portuguese. Let me just kind of throw
he's a legend. At the end of our Pat Smith documentary, we gave 3 options: Don Fry, Tank Abbott, Marco Huas, and Marco Huas won. He got the most votes by a wide margin. So we'll get to the other guys at another time.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to tell you, like, Phil Barker. So Phil Barker is, he's been doing timestamps on like 70 episodes that needed them.
Yeah.
The anal retentive, and he's been doing it like without notes. Like, he's literally like, our timestamp guy, Andrew Mendoza, phenomenal. Like, it allows us to kind of touch up our database. And Phil Barker, like, I always send Andrew notes. He gets everything done, gives it to me, sets the commercials. Like, dude, Andrew Mendoza is the unsung hero of this podcast.
Yeah. And
Phil Barker refused the notes, like all notes, including like our foreign guys, gets every name spelled properly.
I don't want that job. God bless him.
No. And I've even told him, dude, you want to, on camera, off camera, if you want to sit in the back and fact check and really help us with like the real nitty gritty things that, you know, Joey and I can't do like right away. Like, if it's something on SureDog, it's easy. Yeah. But if you got to go into LinkedIn, or you got to do a little bit of a deep dive in order to help straighten out a story, I'm like, dude, like, there's very few people that can actually do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I offered it to him. He didn't respond. I think he's just a real private guy, but we really appreciate his help.
Absolutely.
So, Joey, have a great new year. And I think we're bouncing back with the Jared Shaw right after this.
All right. Happy New Year, Mike.
All right, brother. Take care. You too.